The Houston Texans are not messing around this 2026 NFL season. They have officially exercised the fifth-year option on C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson Jr., locking up then their championship core. But before we hit our way too early win-loss predictions, we have to talk about the absolute masterclass of an offseason this front office just put together to build a powerhouse. Now, first and foremost, let's get the massive injection of pure attitude. Let's get the elephant out of the room, and this trade that happened this offseason is mind-blowing to me. Joe Mixon, adios, see you later, alligator. Don't let the door hit you with the good Lord split you, and insert David Montgomery. He is in after that blockbuster trade with Detroit to give him and C.J. Stroud literally a brick wall. The Texans trade away Titus Howard and Juice Scruggs beside Pro Bowl guard Wyatt Taylor to a 2-year deal and extended Dalton Schultz. This unit is about to run over you, through you, around you, and past you all season long. But now let's not overlook the defense either. The defense was arguably the best defense in the NFL last season, and they just got better. DeMeco Ryans kept his teeth of his pass rush intact by signing Danielle Hunter to a massive extension to stay paired up with Will Anderson Jr. But the absolute steal, the absolute what just happened in this free agency? They snatched safety Reed Blankenship away from the Philadelphia Eagles on a 3-year deal to anchor the secondary. They are faster, they are meaner, and they are built to force turnovers. This Houston Texans defense will be the real deal all season long. Now, let's look at their brutal, that's right, I said brutal 2026 NFL schedule and figure out exactly how many games this squad is winning. But chat, lock in your record guesses in the chat right now, because it's time for the official week-by-week predictions of this way too early on Man Our Nation. So Man Our Nation, week number 1, the Houston Texans open up at home versus arguably one of the better, if not best teams in the AFC, and that is the Buffalo Bills. But you guys know damn well the Houston Texans have owned the Buffalo Bills the last several games. There is a trend in the NFL. The Buffalo Bills beat the Chiefs beat the Houston Texans, and the Houston Texans beat the Buffalo Bills. Give me the Houston Texans in this week 1 matchup. Start the season off 1-0. And then week number 2 rolls around. We still cooking. We still rolling. We at home, welcoming the Cincinnati Bengals into town. Now, the Houston Texans, I've been preaching, have one of the best defenses in the NFL. Reed Blankenship in that secondary with Mr. I can't even think of Aziz is going to hammer the Bengals all game long. The Bengals have no defense. Bengals have a pretty elite offense. The Texans have an elite defense. Defense wins this game, giving the Houston Texans the second win on the season, giving them a 2-0 start to the 2026 NFL season. But then week 3 rolls along. They get on the road and travel to Indianapolis, Indiana to take on the Indianapolis Colts. This Colts team is a team that I don't know what to think to them. They said, Anthony Richardson, you are not our future. 5th-year option, no thanks, baby. Daniel Jones, here's $88 million, even though you just tore your Achilles, you don't even going to be shelling yourself at all. However, 2-0 starts, 2 big games. They're going to drop game 3 in Indianapolis to the Colts, giving them a 2-1 start to the season. Then week 4, back at home. The Battle of Texas. The Dallas Cowboys come into Houston Texans for battle. Guys, the Dallas Cowboys are going to be a good team. The Houston Texans are going to be a good team. This might be the best game of week number 4. Matter of fact, this is going to be the best game of week 4. But the Dallas Cowboys get the best of the Houston Texans, giving the Texans a 2-game losing streak. Starting off with 2 wins, starting hot, pumping their chest. Okay, we here, baby. 2 losses in a row. Give us a week 5 matchup in Nashville versus the Tennessee Titans. This game's not even close. The Titans can say, we love Cardell Tate. We love Cam Ward. We love this guy. But you know what? They have no offensive line. And what is the strength of the Houston Texans? The defensive front seven. They are going to be murdering Cam Ward all game long. Give me an easy week 5 win, getting back above 500. But then week number 6, they travel across the pond to basically play a default home game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars, I believe, have played more games overseas than they have at their home stadium the last couple of years, it seems like. For whatever reason, the Jacksonville Jaguars always play 2 games overseas, and they always split those 2 games. Jacksonville Jaguars played the Eagles the week before this game, losing that game, giving the Texans this week 6 matchup versus the Jaguars in Great Britain, if I'm not mistaken. They lose this game to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It is an ugly game. 10-7, 6-9. Many touchdowns, many scores are not going to happen in this game. Give us a week 7 matchup. Now, as much as I hate international games, I hate even more divisional international games. And then I hate even more than that, coming home from an international game to play a game the very next week. Very unfair advantage for the Houston Texans going into week 7 to play the New York Football Giants. Bright side, they are at home. Bright side, the Giants are meh. Give me the Houston Texans going into week 8 for their bye week. Let's take a deep breath. Let's relax. The Houston Texans have been battling first 7 home games, a lot of road games. When you start off the season with 5 home games, just end the season with 5 road games. Give us a week 9 matchup versus the LA Chargers on the road. Now, many people love the LA Chargers. I posted my way too early Chargers pick today. Chargers fans are not happy because the Houston's so fucking pissed, baby. It's a week 10 matchup. We get them in Cleveland. You go from the West Coast, you go to the East Coast, you go to overseas. They better be doing some Capital One miles at this point. But Cleveland Browns are a good team. Cleveland Browns are a team that many people are going to be overlooking. We don't care if it's Deshaun Watson. We don't care if it's Shedeur Sanders. Hell, we don't even care if it's Dylan Gabriel. The Browns get the win because the Houston Texans they're just tired. They're a little bit tired. They kind of need another bye week at this point, traveling. But late, week 11, they're back at home. Thursday night football taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Now, divisional games on Thursday night football are another one of my pet peeves. I don't like it. I'm going to add it to the man-hour Bible. I don't like divisional matchups on Thursday night football. However, the Houston Texans get this win, splitting the series with the Indianapolis Colts, finally breaking that 2-game or breaking that little streak that they had. But then the Houston Texans start to get hot. They have just beaten the Indianapolis Colts. In week 12, they're back at home yet again off of a little mini bye week, much needed because the Baltimore Ravens coming to town. Now, as much as the Houston Texans have struggled against the Baltimore Ravens in the postseason, they do the exact opposite in the regular season, and that trend continues. A week 12 win over the Baltimore Ravens. Then week 13, back on the road, taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Aaron Rodgers has got a shaved head. We've finally seen his wife. She's not fake. Steelers are potentially a good team. Potentially a top 10 defense. Potentially an offense that's got a hell of a lot more danger with Michael Pittman Jr., DK Metcalf, Aaron Rodgers, and the boys. However, they're a little long in the tooth. They've been there, they've done that, and the Houston Texans go into Heinz Field, Three-River Stadium, whatever you want to call it, and they whoop that ass, baby. Giving us 3 wins in a row to week 14, back on the road yet again. This time taking on the Washington Commanders. The Commanders were good 2 seasons ago. Last year, they were flat out hot dog water, and this year, they're going to be flat out hot dog water yet again. Week 14, give me the Houston Texans. 1, 2, 3, 4 wins in a row. Going into week 15, an AFC South battle, a potential championship game at this particular point. Back at home, taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars, baby. The Houston Texans were playing pretty damn good football the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. The Houston Texans have been steamrolling teams the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. They've been saying, bring that ass here, boy. But week 15 at home versus the Jacksonville Jaguars it is a totally different story. The Jaguars are a team that's battling for respect at this point. The Jacksonville Jaguars are saying, hey, did you forget that we made the playoffs last season? Did you forget that we have a second-year coach and a second-year GM and you know what? We have Travis Hunter? I think Travis Hunter finally shows that week 15. The Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Houston Texans, giving the Texans a loss on the season, breaking that 4-game winning streak. Week number 16, Thursday Night Football in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to take on the Eagles. This one I've been going back and forth on. Because as much as I like the Houston Texans defense and what they did with David Montgomery and the rest of that crew, right? The Eagles may want to show Reed Blankenship, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, you miss home a little bit. Reed Blankenship's going to be like trying to ball out. And Lemon and Slim Reaper, as they call him, Devontae Smith, Shaquan Barkley and the boys, they're going to have their way with the Houston Texans defense. They get a 17-10 win on Thursday Night Football in Week 16. Give us a Week 17 matchup on Monday Night Football to take on the Green Bay Packers. Just a few weeks ago, we were talking about the Houston Texans being the best team in football. A few weeks ago, they had 4 or 5 wins in a row. A couple weeks ago, they've been playing great football the last 6-7 weeks in a row as well. But all of a sudden, they're on a 2-game losing streak, playing Monday Night Football versus the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field, and they get their 3rd loss in a row. All of a sudden, we're like, what just happened with our hands? The Houston Texans went from dominating teams to getting dominated, and all of a sudden, they are battling for that wild card spot. But slow it down, baby. They still have 9 wins on the season. They're still in the playoff conversation. They still could potentially be leading the AFC South at a particular point. And then week 18, when the Titans come into town, they put a period at the end of that sentence and they dominate the Titans, giving them a 10-7 record on the season. 3-3 in the division. This is a team that has had very, very much highs in the regular season and some very, very much lows in the regular season. This is the team that's been going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. However, I think they do finish the season 10-7. Talk about one of the teams that I think is going to kind of just be a lot. The Bengals did not do a whole lot this offseason. Joe Burrow is out there punching in sets, saying that he wants to break Carson Palmer's record with 46 touchdowns this season. T. Higgins wants that 1,000-yard receiving season. The list goes on and on and on. But one thing we do not say is defense. Defense has not been really a focal point for the Bengals for a very, very long time. The Cincinnati Bengals enter the 2026 offseason with an aggressive, singular focus, completely re-engineering a defense that frustrated Joe Burrow and the front office during their tough 6-11 campaign last season. By sacrificing their top draft selection for an elite veteran presence and making major financial splash in free agency, Cincinnati put together what Joe Burrow recently called the most talented roster since he has arrived. Talk about the biggest splash this offseason, and that is the sexy Dexter Lawrence blockbuster trade. An absolute crown jewel for the Bengals offseason was the massive trade with the New York Football Giants. The Bengals packaged their number 10 overall draft pick to acquire superstar defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence II. Upon arrival, the front office immediately locked him down to a contract extension through the 2028 NFL season, giving the Bengals an absolutely game-disrupting force to anchor the middle of their defensive line. Beyond the Lawrence trade, Duke Tomlin and the front office poured massive financial resources into the defense trenches and maximized their pass rushing consistency. The Bengals handed former Seahawks edge rusher Boy Mafi a hefty 3-year, $60 million contract to immediately step in as a premier starting defensive end since Trey Henderson is no longer there. They also paired up Lawrence on the inside by signing a reliable veteran defensive tackle, Jonathan Allen, formerly of the Commanders and the Vikings, to a 2-year, $25 million deal. Now, after struggling on the back end of this secondary, the Bengals watched safety Geno Stone to the Bills and Anderson to the Broncos depart, replacing them with high-end, heavy-fitting leadership. Cincinnati won a competitive sweepstakes by sending former Chiefs safety Brian Cook to a lucrative 3-year contract worth over $40 million. They quickly doubled down on that position by adding former Patriots safety Kyle Duggar on a 1-year contract as well. The team also added unrestricted free agent Jahir Taylor on a 1-year deal and extended veteran death piece Jalen Davis. The team locked down franchise offensive tackle Orlando Brown Jr. to a 2-year contract extension, keeping him anchored through the 2028 NFL season. They also re-signed guard Dylan Reisher to a 1-year deal to preserve that chemistry. To completely emulate any voluntary if Burrow faces injury, the Bengals signed 2 highly experienced veteran arms to 1-year deals as well, Joe Flacco and Josh Johnson. The Bengals played this offseason like a team knowing its championship window is wide open right now, flipping the 10th overall pick for a proven powerhouse like Dexter Lawrence while spending over $125 million in combined free agency cash on Mafi, Cook, Allen, and signals a shift back to violent, high-stakes defense identity. But guys, the Cincinnati Bengals have been struggling as of late. Health has been their real big issue, and the defense has been complete hot dog water. Following a 6-11 campaign last season, let's give you guys the way too early NFL win-loss records for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the Bengals start off week number 1 at home, taking on arguably the NFC South favorites in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have had their way with the AFC as of late, meaning all across the board between the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Chiefs and the Steelers. The Buccaneers play the AFC very, very well. And I think that continues week number 1 when the Buccaneers go into Cincinnati and they beat the Bengals 30-28, giving the Bengals an 0-1 start to the season. Week number 2 does not get any easier for the Cincinnati Bengals either, as they're back on the road, take on the Houston Texans. The Texans, with arguably one of the best defenses in the NFL, will hold the Bengals just to 12 points, and they will score 17 with the new high-flying offense that they have. CJ Stroud is finding his groove. Bengals dropped to 0-2 on the season, losing to the Houston Texans 17-12. And then week number 3, they're back on the road yet again, this time taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers are a team that kind of like we don't know what to do with our hands. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a team that is going to be mediocre. There are going to be some games where they play great and some games they just play bad. I think week number 3, early in the season, is one of those games where they playing good. They beat the Bengals 20-17, giving the Bengals a 0-3 start to the season. But week number 4 is where things start to click a little bit for the Cincinnati Bengals, as they're back at home taking on AFC South Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars are a much improved team. Trevor Lawrence is a decent quarterback. The Jaguars are a decent team. However, the Bengals offense is much too much for the Jacksonville Jaguars defense as they pull out their first win of the victory 33-30. And they carried that momentum into week number 5 when they travel to Florida to take on the Miami Dolphins. This game is over before it begins. 35-14 in the Bengals' favor, giving them the second win on the season. 2 wins in a row heading into the week 6 bye. Now, I don't know how you guys like bye weeks. I think 5, 6, 7, 8 bye weeks are complete disadvantage to any team out there. But the Bengals bye comes right at the wrong time. They're starting to get hot. They have wins over the Jaguars, wins over the Miami Dolphins. Offense is clicking. Defense is holding teams down. But week 7, they have an AFC North battle versus the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. Now, last season, we saw some great games between these two teams. And I think week 7 is much like last season. It's going to come down to who has the ball last. I think the Baltimore Ravens will have the ball last, and they beat the Bengals 42-35 on this week 7 matchup. Week number 8, the Bengals offense is still clicking. The Bengals offense is still finding the end zone early and often. The defense, still not so great. They are back at home playing the Tennessee Titans, and they do get the victory 27-24 versus a bad Tennessee Titans team. And then week number 9, they fly overseas to Spain, I do believe, to take on the Atlanta Falcons. One thing that we have learned about the overseas games in the years past is offenses do not travel well. For whatever reason, we are not going to see a high-flying offenses. Defense travels, running game can travel, but guess what? The Bengals have neither of those. So they do play the Atlanta Falcons. They are the home team, the Falcons are, and I think the Falcons have a better running game and a better defense, and they outlast the Bengals 14-10, dropping the Bengals down to just, their 5th loss of the season. Now, week number 10. No bye week after the overseas game, which I think is a complete asinine thing, but at least they're back at home. They're back at home playing on the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are fresh off their bye week. Bengals are going to be coming in this game one or two ways. They're either going to blow out the Pittsburgh Steelers or they're going to get blown out by the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's no mediocre game. It's one extreme or the other. And I do think they blow out the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 10, 30-6, giving them yet another win on the season. Now, week 11, Monday Night Football. They travel to Washington, D.C., America's capital, to take on the Commanders. The Commanders are a team that's going to be hungry. They're coming off a mini bye week from playing Thursday Night Football the week before. I think the Commanders have just enough to outlast the Bengals 24-17, giving the Bengals yet another loss. And then week number 12, they back at home take on the New Orleans Saints. I think they beat the Saints pretty handily, 28-10, giving them a victory. Week 13, back on the road. There's one key thing about the Bengals. When the offense plays well, the defense plays bad. When the defense plays well, the offense plays bad. There is no complete game for the Bengals this season. I think week 13 is a perfect execution of that, because when they travel to Cleveland to take on the Browns, it is an offensive juggernaut. Both teams are going to score 30-plus points, and I think the Browns outlast the Bengals 33-30. And then week 14 is when the losing streak starts. They've done loss to the Browns. They're back at home, take on the Kansas City Chiefs, coming off of their mini bye week. And the Chiefs go into Cincinnati, and they beat them 30-27. 2 losses in a row, and it doesn't get much better, because week 15, they're back on the road, take on the Carolina Panthers. I think the defense plays well, but the offense forgets to show up, and the Panthers win 12-7. Week 16, much of the same. Defense plays well, offense forgets to show up on the road in Indianapolis, and they lose 14-10 to the Colts. What is going on? But then week 17, everything turns around. Thursday Night Football, the offense is high flying. We might see 4, 5, 6 touchdowns from Joe Burrow in the first half. They beat the they beat the Ravens 33-30, give us the week 18 matchup versus the Cleveland Browns. Kind of mop-up duty at this point, but they do get the win 28-10 over divisional foe Cleveland Browns, giving the Bengals a 7-10 record this season. Good for 4th place in the AFC North. Now, I do not think the Bengals are a terrible team. I just don't think they have their identity secured on the defensive side of the ball. I think they spent the money. I think it'll take time to them adjust, but I think the offense is just going to carry the defense for so long. Offense is going to get tired. Now, it could be very well that they could be 10-7 as well. But unfortunately, I think the Bengals will be 7-10 this season, and I just do not see them as a playoff team. I do not see them as a team that is going to do much of anything this NFL season. Now, they could. Bills are about ready to wax that ass, baby! Because the Buffalo Bills are officially entering the most fascinating transition periods in franchise history. After failing just short to a brutal divisional round 33-30 to the Denver Broncos last January, the front office hit the full reset button in a major way. They said, later Sean McDermott, hello Joe Brady. Joe Brady is officially the full-time head coach and bringing in Jim Leonhard to coordinate a brand new defensive look. But before we jump into the way too early win-loss predictions, we need to look at the absolute roster facelift Josh Allen's squad has underwent the last few months. I'll start with the offensive side of things, because Brandon Beane went out and made an absolute statement. The headline move, DJ Moore. DJ Moore is officially a Buffalo Bill. The front office executed a blockbuster play with the Chicago Bears, sending away a 2026 second-round pick to secure a true elite plug-and-play wide receiver one for Josh Allen. Now, we don't know if Ken Coleman's going to be on the roster, but potentially this wide receiver core looks very, very well. And with reigning NFL rusher champion James Cook, this offense is built to be an absolute powerhouse. But let's not forget about the defense. New defensive coordinator is installing a massive youth movement. The Bills let a long list of aging veterans walk out the door. Matt Milano, Jordan Poyer, and Jack Thompson. Instead of old retreads, the Buffalo Bills are handing the keys to a young core headlining defensive tackle, Davion Walker, Dorian Williams. But they just didn't stand pat. They also added elite explosive star power as well, signing Bradley Chubb to a 3-year, $43.5 million deal to anchor the edge alongside Greg Rosen. Now, CJ Gardner-Johnson on the back end is also a huge signing as well. Guys, the Buffalo Bills are going to make some noise this season. The Buffalo Bills are going to walk in to many, many stadiums, and they're going to beat a lot of good teams this season. But can they do it in January into February? But guys, let's get into the way too early win-loss predictions for the Buffalo Bills. And they start off week 1. This game, when they travel to Houston to take on the Houston Texans, week number 1, for an NFL week 1 game, this could arguably be the best NFL game of the entire week 1. I just don't think the Buffalo Bills offense is ready to compete with one of the best defenses in the NFL in the Houston Texans. They lose to the Houston Texans week 1, 14-10. Week number 2, Thursday Night Football. The Amazon Prime boys are in town, opening the brand new Buffalo Bills Stadium. They welcome the Detroit Lions into town. There's going to be a lot of festivities. Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be the star of the show. I don't know why Buffalo Bills fans love him so much. It's not like he led them to a Super Bowl. But I think the Detroit Lions come into Buffalo and they absolutely humiliate the Buffalo Bills on opening night of week 2 of the NFL season, 30-17. I don't think this game is even close. I think the Detroit Lions come in focused and want to play spoiler, and the Buffalo Bills are too caught up in this and the hype of opening up the new stadium to realize, like, oh shit, we have a football game. Start off the season 0-2. Now, I was hyping up the Buffalo Bills, saying they are the best team in the AFC East. They're going to do this, and they're 0-2. Buck, what is going on? That's okay. Slow it down, baby, because week 3, they're back at home yet again, taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. This game is absolutely over before it begins. The Buffalo Bills are pissed off. DJ Moore absolutely goes off in week 3. 3 touchdowns in the first quarter for DJ Moore. The Buffalo Bills win 45-6 over the LA Chargers. Not even close. And then they start to build the momentum because week 4, the New England Patriots come back into town as well. 3 home games in a row, and the Buffalo Bills beat the Patriots 24-20 in week 4 matchup. Now, week 5, they're back on the road. Monday Night Football. LA Rams versus the Buffalo Bills. This could very well be a Super Bowl preview. This could very well be one of the highest scoring games we have seen in a very, very long time. This could very well be also big of a letdown of a game as well. But either way it goes, I think the Buffalo Bills come up just a tad bit short to the LA Rams, losing 30-24 on Monday Night Football, snapping their 2-game winning streak. Now, week number 6, they stay out on the West Coast to take on the Vegas Raiders. Sunday afternoon game, the Buffalo Bills just looking forward to the bye week, but they just don't roll over. They punched the Raiders in the mouth 30-14, giving them back to a 500 record heading into the week 7 bye week. Bye week, things get fine-tuned. During the bye week, DJ Moore and Josh Allen have a little kumbaya moment. James Cook says, you know what? Enough fool around. Let me earn those dollar bills, y'all. In week 8, they come out and they absolutely destroy the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens come into town and they do not know what hit them. It's going to be a 24-12 score, but the Buffalo Bills are going to dominate on all 3 phases of this game, giving them momentum for the rest of the season going into week 9, Monday Night Football at Minnesota Vikings. This game is close. This game is going to have a lot of emotions tied in. This game is going to be a game that when we look back on it, this is the turning point of the Buffalo Bills season, because they will go into Minnesota and they beat the Vikings 30-20 on Monday Night Football. All of a sudden, the national spotlight is on the Buffalo Bills. All of a sudden, people are talking about the Buffalo Bills being the best team in the AFC. All of a sudden, the Buffalo Bills are the Super Bowl favorites coming out of the AFC. And they continue that trek into Week 10 when they travel to MetLife Stadium to take on New York Football Jets. Much like a game earlier in the season, this game is over before it even begins. 45-6, the Buffalo Bills absolutely destroy the New York Jets. Week 11, the train keeps on rolling. They're back at home Sunday afternoon, take on the Miami Dolphins. 28-10, another not even close game. All of a sudden, the offense is clicking. All of a sudden, that young defense is starting to look pretty stout. All of a sudden, the Buffalo Bills are them. But then Week 12 comes along. Thursday Night Football, back at home. Another Thursday game. They haven't fared too well on Thursday Night Football games at home so far this season. But the annual Kansas City Chiefs Buffalo Bills regular season game, we all know the Buffalo Bills win in the regular season. I think they win yet again, 30-12. The offense keeps on keeping on. 5 wins in a row. The Buffalo Bills are rolling. Week 13. Keep on keeping on. Keep on piling on at New England, 24-17, sweeping the division champs from last season and taking the crown yet again. I think this is a default championship game in Week 13, and the Buffalo Bills come out on top. Now, Week 14, they do have a little bit of a letdown. This is you guys know the old saying, sometimes a loss is a good thing. I think Week 14, when they traveled to Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers, this loss is a good thing. It kind of redirects their vision a little bit. It is a bad game. It's an ugly game. It's a kind of just a sloppy midseason game, but they lose to the Green Bay Packers 14-10. Gives the Week 15 matchup on Saturday versus the Chicago Bears. This is another game. It's kind of just a sloppy game. Offense isn't good. Defense isn't good either, but they pull out the win over the Chicago Bears in Week 15, 17-14. Give us a Week 16 matchup, a rematch of the divisional round from last year, this time at Mile High Stadium. Bo Nix is back and finally 100%. Josh Allen is just banged up from a long season as is. I think the Denver Broncos come out on top on Black Friday, 20-17 over the Buffalo Bills. But Week 17, the Buffalo Bills tighten the screws a little. Quarter turn as a time, as they say. 1% better each and every game. When they travel to Florida to take on the Miami Dolphins, the Buffalo Bills win 22-17. It's not pretty, but a win is a win, given a Week 18 matchup versus the New York Jets, and this game is over before it begins yet again. 40-6, their third blowout win of the season, giving the Buffalo Bills a 12-5 record on the NFL season. Guys, I think the Buffalo Bills are the best team in the AFC this season. I think the Buffalo Bills are the favorites to go to the Super Bowl this season. I think the addition of DJ Moore is going to be bigger than what people are just talking about right now. That is a huge, huge signing. But 12 wins for the Buffalo Bills, guys. Is it too high? Is it too low? Or is it just right? Let me know down in the comments down below. On Monday Night Football, taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Is Bo Nix going to be ready? I think that is the biggest question of all. Who's the backup quarterback in Denver? Do you know? Do you know? Do you know? Because I don't know. We don't know who the backup quarterback is going to be in Denver. We don't know if he can even play. Now, you can say what you want about the AFC championship game. Jarrett Stidham did his thing, whatever, yada, yada, yada. That's all fool's gold. That's all fugazi. But the Denver Broncos, I don't care if it's Bo Nix, I don't care if it's Jarrett Stidham, I don't care if it's Justin Fields, I don't care who the starting quarterbacks are for either team. The Kansas City Chiefs come out on top 2017 on that Monday Night Football win, week number 1. Week number 2, the Denver Broncos are back at home. Home opener, week 2 versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. This game is very, very intriguing to me. Jacksonville Jaguars have an opportunity to potentially win the AFC South for the first time in a very, very long time. The Jacksonville's got a hell of a lot better last season with Duval, man himself, Liam Cohen. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars walk into Mile High Stadium early in the season, giving a week 2 win to the Jaguars 17-10, starting the Broncos off at 0-2 to start the season. The Broncos schedule does not get much easier. They are back home, but they're taking on arguably one of the best teams in the NFC and the LA Rams. The Rams have too much firepower, too much defense. They're just probably outcoached as well. 24-6 win for the LA Rams in week number 3, starting the Denver Broncos off 0-3. Week number 4, they play yet another very, very good NFC West team in the San Francisco 49ers on the road. It's a little closer. It's a last-second field goal to win the game, but the 49ers pull it out, and then Dre Greenlaw is going to end the game by sacking Bo Nix and giving it to the Denver Broncos 17-14. Winless streak continues. Week number 5. Finally, a winnable, potential winnable game, but they're on the road. AFC West divisional opponent taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Chargers, my mistake. Chargers beat the Broncos 27-24 in this week 5 matchup, starting out the Denver Broncos 0-5. And boy, does it get easier? Joking, because they play yet another NFC West opponent in the Seattle Seahawks. They are at home. This is on Thursday Night Football, so everything's kind of flowing their way. Seahawks defense is too good. Seahawks offense is too good. 24-10 Seahawks win. Boy, the Denver Broncos are treading water right now. 0-6 to start the season. We don't know what to do with our hands. We are in last place. We don't have a win. Bo Nix looks like a shell of himself. Why did we trade for Jerry Jeudy? We don't know. But week 7 on the road, this is where everything starts to get right, potentially for the Denver Broncos. They do go into Phoenix, Arizona, actually Glendale, Arizona, to take on potentially Jacoby Brissett, potentially Garner Minshew, potentially Carson Beck. We don't know who their quarterback is. It doesn't matter. Broncos win 30-6. Then week number 8, they're back at home, taking on the Kansas City Chiefs to complete the trifecta. They get beat 24-17. Guys, the Denver Broncos were a 12-win team last season. AFC Championship game last season. Right now, they're sitting at the schedule 1-7. 1-7. They do not look good right now. Week number 9. They play a very, very good Carolina Panthers team. Can we really say that? Yes, guys, the Panthers have got a lot better, but they do travel to Charlotte, North Carolina, and they do beat the Panthers 28-12. I think this is the time of the season when they start to potentially turn the corner, heading into the week 10 bye week. And do we really think they're going to turn the corner? Man, they won 2 of their last 3. They've beaten the Cardinals. They've beaten the Panthers. They lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. But week 11, they play the Las Vegas Raiders at home, and they get beat 21-20. Denver Broncos fans, are you okay right now? Denver Broncos fans, are you wanting to jump off the Gorge Bridge? Denver Broncos fans, you want to talk about the Patriots being a fluke, the Seahawks being a fluke? You guys have been a fluke. You guys are Fugazi. And week number 12, it continues when you play the Pittsburgh Steelers and you get beat in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 17-14. Now, the underlining bright spot of this whole season so far is they've only been blown out one time by the LA Rams back in week 3. They are keeping everything relatively close. 3 points here, 6 points there, whatever. They're still losses, but they're still close. They're still playing decent football. Week 13, all that decent football, all those close games finally click, and they blow out the Miami Dolphins at Mile High Stadium 35-6, giving them the second win of the season. And then week 14, that trend continues. They beat the New York Football Jets 30-10 at MetLife Stadium, but then week 15, everything comes crashing back down yet again. Take on divisional foe, Las Vegas Raiders, and they lose 21-10. 2 in a row, they were looking good. They're scoring points. But week 15, they lose to the Raiders, and then week 16, playing for nothing. Out of playoff conversation. They've been eliminated. They don't know what to do with their hands. Everybody's jumping off. The Buffalo Bills are coming to town. The stadium's going to be half full, but they pull it out. Somehow, some way, they beat the Buffalo Bills 20-17, something that the Kansas City Chiefs cannot do in the regular season. And then week 17, they play the New England Patriots, and they beat the Patriots as well, 24-12. Okay, so we won 4 of the last 5. We're cooking. We're doing some good things. Week 18, they come back home to take on the Chargers, and they beat the Chargers 17-6. But the season is not a good one. Yes, they won 5 of their last 6. Yes, they ended on a hot streak. Yes, they were clicking and doing good things, but they're 7-10 on the season. The Denver Broncos finished the season 7-10. Now, many people are gonna be like, "Oh, Buck, you're just a hater. We see this Chiefs stuff. We see this. You just don't like the Bo Nix. You don't like the Denver Broncos." No, the Denver Broncos have a tough schedule. We don't know if Bo Nix is going to be ready by week 1. You start on the road versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And then you play the Jaguars, the Rams, the 49ers, the Chargers, the Seahawks. What? The first 6-7 weeks of the NFL season are brutal. Arguably the hardest of the entire NFL season. And then you play the Chargers again. You play a really good Raiders team. And then the Buffalo Bills and the Patriots. Now, I do think 7 wins is very, very plausible. It's going to happen. But if they could pull off one of those early season wins and not start off 0-6, 0-7, they could be an 8-9 win team again. They will not make the playoffs. But as of right now, I do have them 7-10. But what do you guys think? Is 7-10 for the Denver Broncos too high, too low, or just right, baby? Let me know down in the comments down below. Arguably the most slept on team in the entire NFL. Let's talk about a team that many people are counting out now because of their history. A team that I think is going to make the playoffs and going to upset, that's right, upset a lot of people this season. And guys, we're talking the one and only Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns took a highly calculated, aggressive approach to the 2026 NFL offseason. Rather than hunting for a flashy skill position stars, General Manager Andrew Berry and newly appointed coach Todd Monken directed almost all of their financial and trading resources to a complete ground-up rebuild on the offensive line and the hard-nosed identity shift that is we know about the Cleveland Browns. The core veteran moves and the narrative pillars of the Browns, the 2026 spring focus on the major transaction. Guys, following a coaching change this offseason, former offensive coordinator Todd Monken was promoted to head coach. His influence on the roster was immediate. Felt like as if the front office prioritized violence, physical blocking, and system-fit veterans pieces to shift that offense culture away from the previous regime. With that being said, fixing an aging and expensive and injury-plagued offensive front was the absolute number one mandate in the front office this offseason. In a span of weeks, Cleveland completely reinforced its protection unit. They did some blockbuster trades. The Browns traded for 5th-round pick to the Houston Texans to acquire veteran offensive tackle Titus Howard. Upon arrival, the front office immediately locked him down on a massive 3-year, $63 million contract extension to secure him and the new starting right tackle. And then they made some guard clashes as well. The interior line was completely fortified in free agency by signing Zion Johnson to a hefty 3-year, $49.5 million and adding elite veteran Elgin Jenkins to a 2-year, $24 million contract with $20 million guaranteed. And then they just kept adding pieces and adding pieces and adding pieces, and they re-signed key guard Tevin Jenkins to keep in the building. Now, in the league that has largely abandoned the position, Todd Monken immediately signaled to shift to heavy, old-school rushing sets by actively targeting a fullback. After missing out Patrick Ricard, who signed with the Giants, the Browns signed 10-year veteran fullback Michael Burton to a 1-year deal. Burton is expected to be a heavy factor in the lead blocking schemes for the Cleveland Browns backfield this season. And they did just not stop there. Beyond the offensive line, Andrew Berry made several calculated mid-tier free agency moves to shore up the spine of the depth of the to shore up the spine of their depth chart. Linebacking core. The defense landed a major piece by signing veteran linebacker Quincy Williams to a 2-year, $13 million deal, $9 million of it which is guaranteed, to add immediate sideline-to-sideline speed. And then they also skill depth as well. The Browns added tight end Jack Stoll on a 1-year deal to serve as a primary blocking option alongside speedster Tylan Wallace to bolster the wide receiver depth and special teams return unit. And the defense just got better and better and better. The big picture for the Cleveland Browns in 2026, guys, the Browns' spring strategy was unapologetic and they were pragmatic. They invested over $130 million in contract value strictly into Titus Howard, Zion Johnson, Eldon Jenkins. Cleveland is betting that the quickest path to the AFC North contention is assuring absolute dominance in the trenches and protecting the quarterback. With that being said, the Cleveland Browns, guys, I feel are one of the most slept on teams in the entire NFL. With that being said, I think the Cleveland Browns are going to make some noise in the NFL this season. With that being said, let's get to the way too early NFL picks for the Cleveland Browns this 2026 NFL season. In week number 1, they start on the road taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the Jaguars, guys, are a team that I have faith in this season as well. The Jaguars made huge steps last season. I think those steps continued this season, and the Cleveland Browns get a week 1 loss in Jacksonville in Duval, 13-10, starting off their season 0-1. And then week number 2, they're still in Florida, this time taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are a true wild card team. You do not know what you are going to get, but a trend for the Cleveland Browns this season is the amount of points that they score early. I think they scored 9 points versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they ultimately lose the game 12-9. So, guys, they've had 2 games, and they've held both pretty good offenses under 14 points. That's going to show you how dominant this defense is moving forward. I think the Cleveland Browns are going to have the best defense in the AFC this season. And then week number 3, they finally get the home opener versus the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are a decent team as well, but I do think the Browns come out on top 17-14, giving them the first win of the season. And then things start to click. Once you get your first win, these divisional opponents on Thursday Night Football become gravy trains because the Pittsburgh Steelers come to Cleveland Thursday night, and the Browns get the win again in week number 4, giving them a 14-9 victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers, giving them the 500 going into week number 5. Now, week number 5 is a very, very much of a trap game. This is a game that could go either way. You travel to MetLife Stadium to take on the New York Football Jets. But coming off of a mini bye week, going into week 5, Deshaun Watson is finding his groove, and I think the Cleveland Browns go into MetLife Stadium and they beat the New York Jets by 10, 22-12 in this week 5 matchup. Now, week 6 is where things start to get a little shaky because you are at home. You are battling a divisional foe in the Baltimore Ravens. As you guys notice, a trend of my scores so far, under 14 points every game so far this season. Week 6 is a complete lapse of the Cleveland Browns. They are hot dog water all game long. I think the Ravens come into Cleveland and they whoop that ass 33-9. It is over by halftime and it's mop-up duty by the end of it. Week number 7, the Titans return the favor, the Cleveland Browns return the favor to the Tennessee Titans. They go into Nashville and they score 42 points of their own and only allow 9, beating the Tennessee Titans 42-9 in week number 7, giving them back to a 500 record. Now, this is going to be a trend moving forward. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Because week number 8, they're on the road battling a Pittsburgh Steelers team. Guys, I want to be a caveat right here. I think the AFC North is going to be the best division in football from top to bottom. It would not shock me if all 4 teams do make the playoffs. I do think the Pittsburgh Steelers are hot in week 8, and they pulled out the victory 22-21 over the Cleveland Browns, dropping the Browns below 500 yet again. But then week number 9 rolls around. The Saints coming off a bye week. The Browns are traveling to the Big Easy. Now, this game, I think, is going to go in the Browns' favor. I think a 24-7 score is on pace for this game because I don't have any faith in the New Orleans Saints at all. I think they're hot dog water. With that being said, though, coming off of a bye week after an emotional divisional game, 22-21, it could be a very much of a trap game. So circle that game if you are a Cleveland Browns fan, week number 9. But I do think they get back to 500. But week 10, arguably the best two defenses in the NFL go to battle. The Houston Texans take on the Cleveland Browns. In Cleveland, we are not going to see a touchdown in this game. We are going to see maybe 300 total offensive yards combined. It is going to be a defensive slugger-not game. I think the Houston Texans come out on top 6-3, dropping the Browns below 500 going into the bye week. A bye week is much relieved. They needed it. They've been battling back and forth. They are below 500. However, bye week is exactly what they needed. Deshaun Watson needed that rest. And Deshaun Watson gets a back massage, finds his mojo week 12 when the Las Vegas Raiders come into town and they get the dub 22-20 fresh off the bye week. And then week 13, it continues. Cincinnati Bengals come into town. 3 home games in a row. Matter of fact, they have 4 home games in a row with the bye week built in. Bengals come in. It is a shootout. 33-30, Browns on top. Week 14, much of the same. Another nice, composed, competitive game. The Browns beat the Atlanta Falcons 21-17. The Browns are now on a 3-game winning streak since the bye week. They are well above 500. They are in first place in the AFC North. They're looking at playoffs. They're looking their chops. And people in the AFC are like, oh shit, what just happened? And by the way, week 15, that trend continues when they travel to MetLife Stadium again, this time to take on the New York Football Giants, and they beat them 24-9. This is a battle of the most slept-on teams in the NFL, but I think the Browns are getting hot at the right time. 4 wins in a row over the Raiders, Bengals, Falcons, and the New York Football Giants. But then week 16 comes into play. The Baltimore Ravens, for whatever reasons, have the Browns number this season. They beat them 33-9 earlier in the season in Cleveland. This time in Baltimore, I think is much of the same. I think the Ravens come out on top 34-6, breaking the Browns' 4-game winning streak. But week 17, the Browns bounce back at home, taking on the Indianapolis Colts. They win a slugfest of a game, 17-15 over the Indianapolis Colts. Give us a week 18 matchup for arguably the division title. You have the Cleveland Browns at Cincinnati taking on the Bengals. Now, the Bengals are historically a high-flying offense. Their defense is not so good. The Browns' defense have won them a lot of games this season, have kept them in a lot of games this season. However, I think week 18, their defense finally fails them, and the Bengals come out on top 28-10, giving the Browns a 10-7 record on the season. I think the Browns are a very much improved team. I think the Browns are going to go out there and they're going to do really, really good things. I think the Browns are the most slept on team in the entire NFL. With that being said, 10-7 record is a good record. A 10-7 record could win you the AFC North. A 10-7 record could get you second, third place in the AFC playoffs. But what do you guys think? Is that 10-7 record, is that too high? Is that too low? Or is that just right? Guys, let me know down in the comments below. What do you think about the Cleveland Browns? Also, the biggest question in Cleveland right now this offseason is who is going to be their starting quarterback? Shador Sanders? Is it going to be Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel, or Taylor Green? Let me know who you guys think who the quarterback will be coming week 1 for the Cleveland Browns. The Chargers 2026 spring blueprint was loud and clear. Protect number 10. Bully teams to the ground and suffocate them up front. By pairing foundational pieces like Njoku, Mitchell, and the draft pick Jake Slaughter, LA has built an identity perfectly tuned to battle in the brutal AFC West ground war. The way too early Chargers win-loss predictions start as week number 1 as a battle at home versus the Arizona Cardinals. And I do think they start off on the right foot 21-14 beating the Arizona Cardinals. Nothing to write home about. The Cardinals still suck at the end of the day. But week number 2, this is when the real tests start to begin. And this is where the wheels quickly fall off the wagon. Nobody likes to lose to the Raiders, especially at home. And that is what the Chargers do in week number 2. They lose to the Raiders 22-10 week number 2, giving them a 1-1 start to the NFL season. And then week number 3, they travel to Buffalo, New York. The Buffalo Bills are not happy. They lost their home opener to the Detroit Lions. They're sitting at 0-2. They're looking for that revenge, and they're looking for the first win of their new stadium. And they put the belt to ass to the Chargers week number 3, 45-6. Ouch. 1-2 start to the season, and it doesn't get much easier. Week number 4, you play in the Super Bowl champions, Seahawks at Seattle, 30-10. Week number 5, they are finally back at home versus the Denver Broncos. A Denver Broncos team that I don't know, they are going to be good, but their record is going to say otherwise. They do battle them, beat the Denver Broncos 27-24, giving them their second win on the season. Now, week number 6. Can we say embarrassed? Can we say the Chargers got embarrassed week 6? Because that's exactly what's going to happen. Week number 6, they're going to go into Arrowhead Stadium. They'll be kind of pounding out their chest. Chiefs are coming off a bye week. They're sitting at 2-2 on the season so far. Chiefs put that belt to ass. 33-13. They score a couple late points to make it somewhat respectable, but they give another loss. Going into the week 7 bye week, we are confused. Justin Herbert is being protected. Quentin Johnson's still not catching. Hampton and Keaton Mitchell just not running the ball well. The offense just looks a little dysfunctional. We don't know what is going on. Defense is still good. Khalil Mack is still doing his thing. The defense is still locking it down. And it shows because week number 8, they hold the LA Rams to just 17 points. However, the offense only scores 14, giving them yet another loss on the season fresh out of the bye week. And then going into week number 9, they play the Houston Texans. Put some respect on their name. Houston Texans have the best defense in the NFL. The Houston Texans have a pretty good offense as of right now. Probably a top 12 offense in the NFL. And all of it shows because as the Texans come into SoFi Stadium, they beat the Chargers 20-7. The Chargers are now on a 3-game losing streak. The Chargers just have 2 wins on the entire season. They're not looking good. And it doesn't get much easier because they Monday Night Football versus the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah. 30-24 loss yet again. Give them 4 losses in a row. Week 11, finally back at home. Finally thinking, we play the New York Jets. Finally, we can just walk in there, kind of half-ass it, and play and get the victory. They get the victory, but man, it comes at a cost. 12-6 game, no touchdown scores, field goal battle. If you're a fantasy owner, get field goal kickers in this game. Week 11, they do beat the Jets, giving them their 3rd win on the season. It is not good. And the bad-looking offense carries over to week 12 when they're back at home again, take on New England Patriots, losing 20-10. And the schedule does not give them any favors. Because week 13, they're back on the road, traveling all the way to the East Coast. I believe this is a 1 p.m. game, taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They lose 28-13. The 1 p.m. time zone curse is live and well. Week 14, though, they do finally get a win over a divisional opponent versus the Las Vegas Raiders, 28-10. But then week 15, the Battle of California. This is a Thursday night matchup. Chargers fans do not even fill out SoFi Stadium. Matter of fact, this is more like a home game for the San Francisco 49ers, and they play like it. 33-14 49ers win week 15 matchup. The Chargers are just not a good team. They're not a good team. I don't care how much you blasted up the offensive line. I don't care how much running back depth you have. The Chargers are charging, and it continues week 16 when they play the Miami Dolphins. Now, they do beat the Miami Dolphins 14-10, but the offense something is wrong with the offense, whether it's Herbert's hand is broken or Quentin Johnson's not catching, Keaton Mitchell's, something's wrong. Week 17, That something wrong continues over as they lose to Kansas City Chiefs at home 24-10. And then week 18, can they fill out the week 18 victory? No, they can't. On the road versus the Denver Broncos 17-6, giving them a 5-12 season. Guys, I think the Chargers have one of the biggest drop-offs from the 2025 NFL season to the 2026 NFL season. This is a team that could very well be a 12-win team from last season to a 5-win team now. I just do not like the Chargers. I like what they did this offseason. I like their offensive line draft picks. Like, hey, let's draft 15 offensive linemen. One of them is bound to stay healthy. But for whatever reason, the Chargers always Charger. It is what it is. The Jets always Jet, the Raiders always Raider, and the Chargers always Charger. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But what do you guys think? Chargers at 5-12 this season. Too high, too low, or just right? Let me know down in the comments. So guys, as you know, the Kansas City Chiefs did not make the playoffs last season. Patrick Mahomes went down with that torn ACL. But this year, they have 6 primetime games. That shows you how good the Kansas City Chiefs brand still is. That shows you how good the aura of Patrick Mahomes is. That shows you how good that they're going to be in the 2026 NFL season, because they start off week number 1 on Monday Night Football at home, taking on the Denver Broncos. Now, we don't know if Patrick Mahomes is going to be ready by week 1. All signs are pointing to that he will be ready by week 1. Bo Nix broke his ankle in the AFC Championship game. We don't know if he's going to be ready by week 1. But potentially, let's just play this out that both players are going to be back week 1. But you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because the Denver Broncos are going to walk into Arrowhead Stadium, chest out, pounding it, and they're going to come back hunched over like, man, we suck. Because the Chiefs are going to beat the Denver Broncos week number 1, 20-17. And boy, do things start off hot for the Kansas City Chiefs, because week 2, they're back at home again, taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Once again, the Colts will not be that good this season. We don't know if Daniel Jones is going to be ready by week 1 or by week 2. Colts come into Arrowhead, come back out of loss, 30-10. Kansas City Chiefs start off the season 2-0. Now, this is where the real tests start to come for the Kansas City Chiefs. Not because of who they play, because of what they're on the road. Week number 3, they travel to Miami, Florida to take on the Miami Dolphins. As you guys know, week 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in Miami, it is hot. The field is set up so the visitors' sidelines 15 to 20 degrees hotter. You're going to be cramping, you're going to be tired, and the Kansas City Chiefs are going to walk in there into Miami into Hard Rock Stadium, and they're going to come at a loss. The Miami Dolphins beat the Kansas City Chiefs 24-14 in week number 3 matchup. Then we got the week number 4 matchup. Division foe, Las Vegas Raiders in Vegas. Vegas do come out on top, 20-17, giving the Kansas City Chiefs a 2-2 start going into their bye week. Now, week 5 bye week is very, very critical. It is the first bye week of the NFL season. If Patrick Mahomes is not out there by week 1, I suspect by week 6 he will be out there. I think that is why the NFL gave them that week 5 bye week with some easier, air quote, games. First 4 weeks, you can do all the conspiracy theory that you want, but the writing is on the wall, because week number 6, they're back at home, taking on divisional opponent LA Chargers. This game is not even close. Andy Reid off the bye week, I believe, has only lost 3 games ever in his NFL career. 33-13, Chiefs get the win, get back in the winning ways through 3-2 on the season. Now, week number 7. This game is very, very weird to me, because honestly, as a Chiefs fan, I cannot remember the last time that we played the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. But Kenneth Walker III, fresh off the Super Bowl ring on the Seattle Seahawks, now playing on the opponent, and I think the Seahawks have something to prove in this game. I think the Seahawks come into Lumen Field at home And they just don't let the Kansas City Chiefs score at all. Their whole game plan, shut down Kenneth Walker, blitz the crap out of Patrick Mahomes, and the Kansas City Chiefs just can't handle it. The Seahawks win 24-9, week 17, giving the Chiefs back to 500. Now, week number 8, the Chiefs are on the road yet again, this time going to Mile High Stadium, taking on the Denver Broncos. Guys, note here that Denver Broncos have only beaten Patrick Mahomes once in his NFL career. Not going to beat him twice. Just not going to happen. Kansas City Chiefs going to Mile High, beat the Broncos 24-17 in a nice little AFC West clash. Then things start to get a little bit more easier per se. Week number 9, back at home, take on the New York Football Jets. Is it going to be Geno Smith? Is it going to be Russell Wilson? Is it going to be somebody else? A Jets quarterback? We don't know. Jets suck. It doesn't matter. Chiefs win 28-6. In week number 10, this game is very intriguing to me. The Atlanta Falcons are a team that is going to be a 500 team. Whether it is with Penix Jr., whether it's with Tua, whether it's with somebody we don't even know. But the simple fact of the matter is that the Falcons always play well at home against non-divisional opponents. And they beat the Kansas City Chiefs 17-14 in the Week 10 matchup. Week 11, Chiefs are back at home, taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are still not good this season. They're just not. Chiefs win 20-10. Week 12, we get the annual Kansas City Chiefs Buffalo Bills game. Can we all kind of agree that we're tired of this game? like legit. We are tired of seeing the Kansas City Chiefs lose to the Buffalo Bills in the regular season. We are tired of seeing the Buffalo Bills lose to Kansas City Chiefs in the postseason. We're tired of seeing it. It's like clockwork, but week 12, Thursday Night Football, the Kansas City Chiefs travel to Buffalo, New York to take on the Bills, and they lose 30-12. 30-12 is that final score just because Thursday night game, the Buffalo Bills in the regular season always beat the Kansas City Chiefs. That's just what it is. And then week 13, the Kansas City Chiefs continue their losing ways back on Thursday Night Football yet again to take on the LA Rams. This time, the LA Rams are they're a good team. The LA Rams are a good team. And they beat the Kansas City Chiefs 35-21. I'm looking at a high-scoring affair here. I think the Rams offense just comes out and kind of sticks it to the Kansas City Chiefs defense a little bit. But week 14, Kansas City Chiefs get back on track. Week 14, the Kansas City Chiefs see that playoff opportunity start to slip away. Week 14, the Kansas City Chiefs like, man, are we really going to miss the playoffs twice, 2 years in like a row? No, they're not. Because they're going to go into Burrowhead West, right? And they going to Cincinnati, Ohio, and I'm going to be at that game, and they're going to whoop that ass 30-27. Joe Burrow can throw the 46 touchdowns that he wants. It doesn't matter. Kansas City Chiefs come out victorious in the Week 14 matchup. Week 15, Monday Night Football yet again. This time back at home. The New England Patriots come into Arrowhead Stadium, and they come out losing again. 17-10, giving the Kansas City Chiefs in that win. Week 16, the Kansas City Chiefs continue their winning ways, this time at home versus San Francisco 49ers, 24-17. They starting to hook, they starting to get hot, and oh shit, here they come, baby, because week number 17, they're on the road, divisional foe, take on the LA Chargers, it's not even close, 24-10, belt to ass, baby! And then week 18, Kansas City Chiefs are hot. This one is for the division title. This one is for the number 2 or number 3 playoff seed. This one is for all the marbles per se. Week 18 at home, take on the Las Vegas Raiders. Chiefs have been here, done that before. 40-6, whooping that ass. So, guys, I do have the Kansas City Chiefs finishing 11. That's right, 11-6 this season. I think they bounce back this season. I think they have a great year, and I think they win the AFC West by winning that Week 18 over the Las Vegas Raiders. Giving them 11-6 record on the year, 5-1 in the division, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, this team got hot to end the year. 4 to 5 straight wins to finish the season. Rattle them off. Patrick Mahomes looking like MVP comeback player of the year, baby. But what do you guys think? Is 11 wins too high for the Kansas City Chiefs? Or too low? Or just right? And who wins the AFC West. As if you thought other teams in the AFC East had a wild offseason, wait until you see what has happened in South Florida. The Miami Dolphins have officially pressed the nuclear reset button this spring. They brought in Jeff Haley as a brand new head coach, completely moved on from the previous area, and pivoted hard toward the future. But guys, before we jump into the way too early win-loss predictions for the Miami Dolphins this season, we need to talk about the absolute whiplash this roster just went through. Management didn't just tweak things, they tore it down to the foundation. Matter of fact, they blew the foundation up. They traded away franchise staples, they let superstar names walk, and they brought in high upside quarterback to usher in a new era. Now, many people are losing their minds over whether this is a genius blueprint for the future or a complete white flag for a 2026 NFL season. But guys, when we look at the offense, because this unit is completely unrecognizable. The headline departure that shocked the league, Tua. Mr. Tua, man himself was released, and he wasn't the only superstar out the door. The front office executed a blockbuster play sending Jalen Waddle to the Denver Broncos and also parted ways with Tyreek Hill. Just like that, the most explosive track team in football was dismantled. So who is running the show now? Malik Willis. Who? Exactly. But Malik Willis is officially the new quarterback one in Miami. The Dolphins signed him to a massive 3-year, $67.5 million contract with $45 million of it guaranteed. Can we say Cleveland Browns 2.0? But hey, let me slow it down, baby. They are betting this one on his athletic upside to ignite the new system. To help him out, they brought in wide receivers Jalen Tolbert, Tutu Atwell, and brought in tied end Ben Sims and locked down explosive playmaker Achane to a massive 4-year, $68 million contract extension. The offense is entirely re-engineered around Malik Willis's mobility and Achane's home run speed. This season it's entirely about developing Willis and building for the future. But how many wins does that transpire? And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, it does not look good. They're on the road taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. If you guys have heard me talk about the Vegas Raiders, I think they're a team that's either going to be pretty good or pretty bad. There's no middle ground for the Vegas Raiders this season. It starts off week 1 when they do lose to the Vegas Raiders, 14-6. Miami Dolphins start the season off 0-1. Giving us a week 2 matchup, let's stay on the West Coast and let's battle the NFC West and take on the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the 49ers are a team that I'm not for sure what to think about the 49ers. Guys, let me know what you think about the 49ers down in the chat below, because I'm not fully sold on them, but I am sold that they will beat the Miami Dolphins week 2, 30-14, giving the Dolphins an 0-2 start. Giving us a week 3 matchup. Finally, at home. This is a true home field advantage in Miami the first 8 weeks of the season. And when the Kansas City Chiefs come into town, they're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, giving them their first win on the season, 24-14. Okay, we beat the Chiefs. They were 2-0. Now can we start rolling? Going into week 4 when we play the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota? Answer that question is no. The offense is just not very good at this particular point, and they lose to the Vikings 12-10. Give us a week 5 matchup. Finally back at home, the second home game of the season, take on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, as you guys know, not in love with the Bengals. Do not think Joe Burrow is the guy. Do not think that their defense is the thing. However, their defense does hold the Miami Dolphins to just 14 points, and the Bengals offense explodes for 35 points, giving the Miami Dolphins yet another loss in the season, going into the week 6 bye week. All of a sudden, Jeff Haley's Halfley's kind of like, what do we do? Malik Willis is just not performing. Yes, they scored 24 points against Kansas City Chiefs, but who hasn't, right? 6 points week 1, 14 points, 10 points, 14 points. Can the offense give me a little bit? Week 7, they do. When they travel to New Jersey to take on the Jets, the offense shows up and scores you 24 points. However, that defense gives up 27 points and loses to the New York Football Jets. Week number 8, much of the same. The offense starts to show up a little bit. They score 20 points, But when the New England Patriots scored 22 points, you're going to lose the game and you get another loss. 22-20, the Patriots win Week 8 matchup. Week number 9, the Detroit Lions come into town. Guys, the Detroit Lions are a dome team. The Detroit Lions do not like the heat. It's still going to be hot. It's going to be humid in Week 9 in Miami. And when that sun beats down you at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's going to make it 10 to 15 degrees hotter on the sideline. With that being said, the Miami Dolphins get their second win of the season by beating the Detroit Lions 20-17 in Miami. And then week number 10, they travel to Indianapolis, and the momentum dies yet again. The Miami Dolphins are a team with extreme highs and extreme lows. And when you play the Colts and you want to score 11 points, that is an extreme low. They lose to the Colts 21-11 in Week 10 matchup. Week 11, another AFC East opponent, another loss in Buffalo, this time 28-10. It is not looking good for the Miami Dolphins. They're trying to push the reset button yet again. But then week 12, you have the battle of the worst teams, battle for that number 1 overall pick per se. New York Jets coming to town. The Miami Dolphins get their third win of the season, 14-10 over the New York Football Jets. Week 13, travel to Mile High Stadium. Do you guys remember a couple years ago when the Denver Broncos come into Miami and the Dolphins score like 70 points on them? The Broncos have not forgotten about that. The Broncos fan base has not forgotten about that. Now, much of the coaching regime is all the coaching regime is different. A lot of the players are different, but it's still bulletin board material, and the Denver Broncos beat down the Miami Dolphins 35-6 in the Week 13 matchup. Week 14 comes along. Trap game. Chicago Bears, Miami Dolphins. 1 o'clock game, Week 14. The Bears, fresh off a huge... Matter of fact, the Bears might be winning 3 or 4 games in a row at this particular point. Dolphins, they haven't done shit. 3 wins on the season. Just got blown out 35-6. Well, guess what? The Miami Dolphins show up, and they show out 20-17, beating the Chicago Bears in Week 14. But Week 15, all that momentum, winning 2 of their last 3, all that's gone, because when you go to Lambeau Field, they're going to lose 24-22. Malik Willis's welcome back to Lambeau is short-lived. Jeff Hatley's welcome back to Lambeau is short-lived. You get the L. Week number 16, back at home, take on the Los Angeles Chargers coming off of a mini bye week. Same second verse, same as the first, right? You lose again 14-10. Week 17, the Buffalo Bills coming to town. They lose yet again, 22-17. Week 18, travel to Foxborough, Massachusetts. We just want to get out with some type of diggity. They lost 14-12 to the New England Patriots, giving the Dolphins a 4-13 season. The Dolphins are just not very good. Malik Willis is not the answer. Jalen Tolbert's not the answer. Tutu Atwell's not the answer. Ben Sims is not the answer. The only bright spot is Achane, and he's probably asking for a trade to the Kansas City Chiefs at this particular point. 4 wins for the Miami Dolphins in 2026, guys. That is my prediction. Is it too high? Is it too low? Or just right? Let me know down in the comments down below. The Jets are officially entering a critical make-or-break era this season. After a brutal 3-win season last year, head coach Aaron Glenn did not get fired. I think he should have, but he did completely wipe the slate clean, firing his coordinators, bringing in veterans like Frank Reich to run the offense while taking over the defensive play calling duties himself. Officially, we are putting Aaron Glenn on the hot seat, and he has spent the entire 2026 offseason rebuilding this team exactly in his own image to save his job. The defense went from question mark to a unit locked in with turnover forcing power. But guys, let's get into this way too early win-loss predictions for the New York Football Jets. Because week number 1, that is when the money starts to happen, baby. That is when the Jets start to shape the 2026 NFL season. And it starts off with a snag. It starts off with a snag because they lose on the road to the Tennessee Titans 13-10. Now, Much like the Jets, the Titans are kind of in a we don't know what to do our hands type of situation. However, Cornell Tate and the Cam Ward connection is going to be much too powerful for this Jets defense in week number 1 action. Now, week number 2, the Jets are at home for the home opener taking on the Green Bay Packers. Now, to be fair, I picked all of these games with Josh Jacobs on the Green Bay Packers roster. But as we know, as of today, Josh Jacobs decided to, quote, beat a bitch down, and he is probably going to be in jail for a very, very long time. But I do have the Packers beating the Jets week number 2, 14-10. There's going to be a trend in these games. Low-scoring, slugfest type of games. But the Jets do start the season off 0-2. Give us a week 3 matchup taking on the Detroit Lions. Now, the Detroit Lions are coming off a Thursday night game, opening up the Buffalo Bills Stadium and basically smacking the Bills in the mouth. Now, there is such thing as a hangover in the NFL, especially after a long week with an emotional win. And I think the Jets do take advantage of that. Aaron Glenn going to go battle his former team, his former head coach, his former players. He knows exactly how to beat them. And the Jets get the first win of the season, week 3, 17-14 in the Motor City, beating the Detroit Lions. Week number 4, that does not carry over because they do play the Chicago Bears. Once again, a familiar name versus familiar name. Aaron Glenn versus Ben Johnson. Johnson's offense is going to be pretty good this season. The Bears beat the Jets 30-10. All of a sudden, the Jets are like, what do we do with our hands? Man, we come out there, we beat the Detroit Lions, but we lost to the Titans, the Packers, and the Bears. Oh my. Week number 5 is much of the same because at least they're back at home, taking on the Cleveland Browns off of a Thursday night game, and the Browns come into MetLife Stadium, and they physically beat the Jets up and down the field. It would not shock me one bit if Myles Garrett breaks the all-time sack record this game. Geno Smith may not even make it out of the third quarter because he's tired of getting tackled. But the Browns win 22-12 over the New York Football Jets. Give us a week 6 matchup at Foxborough Stadium, take on the New England Patriots. Like I said about the Patriots, they're just an average team. But an average team beats a bad team 9 times out of 10, and the Patriots do beat the Jets 17-6. Give us a week 7 matchup, taking on the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins are coming off of a bye week. The Jets have been coming off of 3 kind of just games where they're just like, man, can we do anything right? Finally, the offense shows up. The defense kind of stales out a little bit, but the offense shows up, beating the Miami Dolphins at home 27-24, giving them their second win of the season. Week 8 matchup, offense forgets to play football. They thought week 7 was the Super Bowl. We done, baby. Week 8, they're back at home, taking on the Las Vegas Raiders, and they lose 10-9. Then week number 9, they travel to Kansas City, Missouri. Actually, it's Independence, Missouri. They take on the Kansas City Chiefs, and they lose 28-6. There's going to be a trend here for the rest of the season. The defense is getting tired. The offense just flat out sucks. We are screaming for Russell Wilson. We're screaming for Braylon Cook. We're screaming for anybody but Geno Smith at this point because the Buffalo Bills come into town week 10, and they absolutely wax that ass. 45-6, wow. Week 11, where is the bye week? We need a bye week. It doesn't come week 11 because they go to LA to take on the Chargers, and they lose 12-6. Defense finally shows back up, but the offense is so stagnant. The offense still sucks. Frank Wright might even be fired at this particular point. Give us a week 12 matchup in Florida. At least it's warm. At least it's sunny. At least we can see the beach, but we still lose 14-10. Now, week 13 is the bye week. Finally, we have a bye week. Maybe we got a new offensive coordinator. Maybe we got a new quarterback. Breece Hall is like, just give me the ball. Garrett Wilson is already asking for like a freaking trade. Tim Patrick saying, send me back to Denver. Just when we played them week 14, when the Denver Broncos come into town, can I just board the plane and leave with them? The Broncos come into New York or come into MetLife Stadium and beat the New York Jets pretty soundly, 30-10. The Jets are now on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 game losing streak. 2 wins, 6 losses in a row. And week 15, when you travel to Arizona, Glendale, Arizona, take on the Arizona Cardinals, it doesn't get much better. Not only do you got to fly out to Arizona, which is a crappy-ass state, play the Arizona Cardinals, a crappy-ass team, to play Carson Beck and Mr. Big Lips Marvin Harrison Jr., and then you lose it then 28-24? Man, Aaron Glenn might be fired at this point, but week 16, they're back at home. Week 16, I am projecting Aaron Glenn does get fired at this particular point. I am projecting at this point Geno Smith is not the answer. I'm projecting this point that Garrett Wilson is loud. Breece Howell is loud. The offense is very, very upset, but they do get the win over the New England Patriots, 20-17 in week 16. All might be well in the world. They get the 3rd win of the season. But then week 17, they're at home again, taking on the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings have not fared much well this season up to this point either, but they're better than the Jets, 24-12 on week 17. Give us a week 18 matchup, take on the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, New York, and they're mentally, physically, they're checked out. 40-6, complete meltdown for the Jets and a complete ass whooping, giving them a 3-14 record on the season. Guys, this season for the Jets is much of the same. The Jets are just not very good. The Jets have terrible ownership. They have terrible general management. They have terrible coaching. They have terrible players. The Jets are just they're an organization that need completely blow it up. Completely blow it up. They need to bring in an old head like the Raiders did. They need to do something to figure out make the owner sell his team and go be back a prime minister or whatever the hell he was. The Jets are not good. 3 wins for the Jets this season. Guys, is that too high? Too low? Or just right for the New York Football Jets in 2026? The fact of the matter is, the Patriots went from the easiest schedule in the NFL to arguably one of the toughest schedules in the NFL. Now, let's go ahead and talk about this way too early win-loss prediction for the New England Patriots. And we're going to talk about this Super Bowl rematch. The NFL season starts off on a Wednesday, guys. I'm not for sure if I like it. We will find out. But a Super Bowl rematch week 1, this is kind of eye-raising to me. The Patriots have been kind of feeding this offseason fuel. They want the revenge, and the Seahawks they're going to look totally different. Charbonnet will still be out. Kenneth Walker III and his 20 pounds of muscle is back in Kansas City. It's all on Sam Darnold's shoulders now, and I do think the Patriots get the week 1 win 17-6. Giving them a 1-0 start on the season. And then week number 2, on Sunday football, afternoon time, 1 p.m., they're at home for their opening game versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Patriots, guys, starts the season 2-0 with a 14-6 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Mellow Mike says I look like Darth Vader. Hey, man, I like the darkness. But week number 3, they're back on the road, going down to sunny Florida, take on the Jacksonville Jaguars in Duval. Listen, the Jacksonville Jaguars guys are a totally different team. With Liam Cohen at the helm, Trevor Lawrence's haircut, and and a healthy Travis Hunter, I think the Jaguars give the Patriots their first loss of the season, 24-22. Giving us a week 4 matchup, a AFC East divisional battle. The New England Patriots travel to new Buffalo Bills Stadium. Are they still calling it Highmark Stadium? I don't know if they're calling it. But they go into Buffalo, and they get the ass waxed, 24-20. Now, the score is going to be competitive, but the truth of the matter is, guys, the Buffalo Bills are going to walk the New England Patriots up and down the field all game long, giving them a 2-2 record going into week number 5. Now, week number 5, things start to get a little easier because they welcome in the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, do not get it twisted. The Las Vegas Raiders are very much an improved team. However, the Patriots are good as well. They beat the Raiders 21-10, giving them a 3-2 record on the season heading into week 6 versus another divisional opponent in the AFC East taking on the New York Football Jets. Now, a lot of people are high on the Jets. They love their offseason moves. The addition of Frank Wright, Geno Smith, potentially Russell Wilson, signing Breece Hall to that lucrative deal. However, the Jets will still jet, and they lose to the Patriots 17-6. Now, all of a sudden, the Patriots are like, okay, we are 4-2. We are 2 games in a row. We starting to cook. But on Thursday Night Football, they go into Soldier Field to take on the Chicago Bears. Now, everybody and their dog knows what the Man Hour Bible says about the Chicago Bears. Thou shalt not trust the Chicago Bears until December. However, I think the Chicago Bears get the win 17-14 on Thursday Night Football. Give us a Week 8 matchup versus the Miami Dolphins in Miami for Week 8. I think the Patriots go into Miami, and it is a complete slugfest battle. No teams could never really find the rhythm. No teams can really get the running game going or the passing game. It's going to be a defensive slugfest. However, it's going to be 22-20 Patriots out on top, giving them a little bit of cushion potentially in the AFC East. Now, week number 9. They welcome recently arrested Josh Jacobs and the Green Bay Packers into town. I think the Patriots get the better of the Green Bay Packers. Not because the Patriots are the better team, just because the Green Bay Packers are kind of in this midseason lull. They are kind of in a rough patch of their season, and I think they pull it out 19-17, beating the New England Patriots in another ugly game. Starting to be a trend here. Ugly wins. However, week 10, they travel across the pond to Germany to take on the Detroit Lions. As you guys know, the international games are very not offensive friendly. It's usually a very ugly game, a very vanilla offensive game plan. Defense is going to win this game. I think the Patriots have the better defense than the Detroit Lions in this game, giving them a win 14-7 going into the week 11 bye week. Now, all of a sudden, the Patriots are like kind of getting that sigh of relief. They made it to week 11 above 500, and they can like really look at the meat and potatoes of their schedule, because this schedule does not get easy. Because coming off the bye week, week 12, they travel to California to take on the Los Angeles Chargers. They do get this win over the Chargers. I think Justin Herbert is not all that in a bag of chips. I think the Chargers are just kind of hot dog water, to be honest. But I think they get the win 20-10, give us a week 13 matchup of the AFC East Championship. I think the week 13 game determines the champion of the AFC East when the Buffalo Bills come into Foxborough, Massachusetts to take on the Patriots. At this time in the season, the Buffalo Bills are rolling. At this time, DJ Moore and Josh Allen has found their groove. And the defense for the New England Patriots is kind of like the depth that we just talked about is starting to show it a little bit. The Buffalo Bills going to Foxborough 24-17 to get that dub. Uh-oh. Because now we worried. We just got swept by the Buffalo Bills. We just got swept by an AFC East opponent. All of a sudden, we're thinking wild card, and that's about it. But week 14, Thursday Night Football, they welcome the Minnesota Vikings into town. The only reason why they beat the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday Night Football because the Vikings are not very good either. They pull out against the win against the Minnesota Vikings 20-17. Give us the week 15 matchup on Monday Night Football. The last time the New England Patriots went to Arrowhead Stadium on Monday Night Football, it was a record-setting night. Now, I don't think it's going to be a record-setting night again in this Week 15 matchup. However, Arrowhead Stadium, Monday Night Football, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the boys, Patriots dropped the game 17-10 on Monday Night Football. All of a sudden, we are looking up. We're thinking up. Wild card could be slipping away, but Week 16, you have an easy opponent in the New York Football Jets. And with that easy opponent coming off that Monday Night Football heartbreak, it's a trap game. It's a slip-up game. And they lose 20-17 to the New York Football Jets in Week 16. Give us a Week 17 matchup. Oh, shit, here we go. But at least we're back at home. But the Denver Broncos are coming into town. Denver Broncos are a team that's struggling at best to stay the least. And the Patriots right now kind of have this large head thinking, hey, we can compete with anybody. We just got to go through the motions, and it shows. And they lose to the Broncos 24-12. All of a sudden, they have lost 3 games in a row, giving us a must-win Week 18 matchup versus the Miami Dolphins in a must-win matchup. They squeak it out just a little bit, 14-12, giving us a 10-7 record for the New England Patriots in 2026. Now, I do not think the Patriots are a great team. I do not think they're a bad team either. They are right in the middle of the road. They are a nice, solid wild card team, and I think that gives them a little large head, per se. But what do you guys think? 10-7 for the New England Patriots. Too high? Too low? Or just right? Let me guys know down in the comments down below. As the Las Vegas Raiders hit the complete reset button this 2026 NFL offseason, overhauling their whole coaching staff, making massive moves, dual layered splashes at the quarterback to bounce back from that 3-14 season from last season. They are going to be either really, really, really good or really, really, really bad. Because this offseason, they do got a rookie head coach in Clint Kubiak. After moving on from the previous regime, the Raiders are now entering the 2026 NFL season with the one and only Clint Kubiak taking over as the new NFL head coach. He brought in Andrew Jackson, am I saying that name right, as the offensive coordinator, completely altering the leadership and the offense philosophy in Las Vegas. And when I say this team had a phenomenal offseason, this bridge to the future 2-pronged quarterback plan, the Raiders are doing everything, guys, right now this offseason. The Raiders completely transformed the quarterback room by acquiring both a short-term veteran in Kirk Cousins and potentially the absolute franchise cornerstone in Fernando Mendoza. Now, I have been on record saying I did not like them drafting Fernando back in February, January, into March, but then the veteran cushion came in. To avoid rushing Mendoza onto the field, the Raiders did sign 37-year-old veteran Kirk Cousins in free agency. The plan is for Kirk Cousins to hold down the starting job and shoulder the pressure early in the season while Mendoza transitions into the NFL game. Perfect philosophy. And then they added veteran additions as well. DeMarcus Ware is now on that team. They brought back Max Crosby out of a botched trade. Taron Johnson was also acquired via trade in that secondary. And now he has skipped some voluntary spring workouts seeking contract adjustments with some guaranteed money, but I think he will be back. And then they brought in Dean, Kenny Payne, Quay Walker, and Tyler Linderbaum as well to really fortify those trenches. And they had a phenomenal draft class. We're not going to go through all of those draft picks as of right now, but guys, the big picture, the stability, and the succession. By pairing Kirk Cousins with Fernando, Clint Kubiak has given the Raiders a functional presentation and an absolutely incredibly high-ceiling future without forcing the rookie in day one. But week 1, the Las Vegas Raiders open up the NFL season versus Malik Willis and the new look Miami Dolphins. Now, guys, I am high on the Raiders this season. As a Chiefs fan, I am high on the Raiders this season. Now, we all know what the man-hour Bible says. The NFL will never let the Raiders be good, but this season I think is a little bit different with like Tom Brady and the Kirk Cousins and the Fernando. They got a nice little kumbaya core happening. And I think week 1, they open up with the victory over the Miami Dolphins at home, 14-6. Give me that dub. Week number 2, they are on the road taking on a divisional foe of the LA Chargers. Now, this is a game that could go one or two ways, right? It is going to be a complete blowout, or it is going to be a nail-biting win by the LA Chargers. And I think the Raiders are going to walk into SoFi Stadium and they are going to wax that ass week 2. 22-10, give me the Las Vegas Raiders, and week 2 starting out the season 2-0. Everything is looking good. Everything is looking up. And then, oh, by the way, here comes week 3. On the road again, going down to the Big Easy taking on Tyler Schruck and the rest of the potentially Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave and those guys. But the Saints guys are a team that I just don't know what to do with my hands about. The Saints are a team that is going to be much like the Raiders, either really good or really, really bad. And I think the Saints are going to be really, really bad. I think the Raiders walk into Mercedes-Benz Dome and beat the Saints 28-14, giving the Raiders a 3-0 start the season. Somebody pinch John Peoples, Old Man River, Mr. Pigskin Pun, and get you some.
Pigskin Pun, get you
because
some.
He is on cloud 9 right now, because in week 4, the Raiders go back home to Allegiant Stadium to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Starting off 3-0. Patrick Mahomes may be back. He may not be back. We don't know. But week 4, I know one thing, and I know one thing only. The Raiders will beat my Kansas City Chiefs week number 4, 20-17, giving them a 4-0 start. 4-0 start. Somebody wake me up. Somebody shake Las Vegas Raiders fan, because we're talking about Super Bowl. We're talking about playoff berths. We're talking about winning the West. We are talking like, oh my God, look at the Raiders, 15-2 season, baby. However, week 5, things start to get a little bit more challenging. Week 5, you start taking on AFC East opponents. Week 5, you travel to Foxborough, Massachusetts to take on New England Patriots. The Patriots guys are a team, is a true wild card. They are much like the old Seattle Seahawks this season. Was last year just a fluke, or we actually see them turn the corner and be good things? However, none of that matters, because the Raiders are going to Raider week number 5, dropping to the New England Patriots, first loss of the season, 21-10. Give me the Patriots come week 5. Now, week 6, they are playing the AFC East yet again. This time back at home and taking on the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Buffalo Bills are a team that everybody is circling, saying, yeah, they're going to win the East. Yeah, they're going to win the AFC. Yeah, this is Josh Allen's season. Keenan Coleman's doing his thing. They brought in DJ Moore. The defense is getting more stout. And it's looking like in week 6, they're going to go into Las Vegas and they are going to put that belt to ass on the Raiders 30-14. So after a 4-0 start, the Las Vegas Raiders have now dropped 2 in a row to the AFC East. Now, does it get any easier? No, they do not, because they're back at home taking on the LA Rams. The LA Rams that could quite possibly be in the Super Bowl in 2027. I think this game is over by halftime. 33-10 LA Rams in week 7, giving the Raiders now a 3-game losing streak. Sitting at the season 4-3 going into week 8. They've had some tough tests. They have definitely cut their teeth. Many people are starting to say, hey, maybe it's time for Fernando. Maybe it's time to, turn the edge. 4-3 is nice, but it's not 5-2 or 6-1. We're hovering right around 500. But week 8, they travel to MetLife Stadium and they take on the New York Football Jets. This is going to be one of those ugly mid-season games. This is going to be a Sunday afternoon game, 1 p.m. Raiders going to be stuck at the 9 or 10 o'clock time zone, wherever time zone Vegas is in. And we might see 1 touchdown in this game. We might see potentially a game that's just like, but the Raiders do pull it out 10-9. I think they get back on their winning ways, moving to 5-3 on the season to beat the New York Football Jets 10-9. Now, week number 9, taking on some NFC West teams, and they're taking on one of the teams that have just always kind of just in there. A team that is just kind of like, where did they come from? And that's the one and only San Francisco 49ers. Now, I do not think that the Raiders will beat the San Francisco 49ers. I do not think it will be a good game either. I do not think that this is going to be a career high for any stretch of the imagination for anybody on the field. I think the 49ers pull it out 14-11, making the Raiders right around a fat hovering 500 team that they are. But now week 10, circle this one on the calendar. Clint Kubiak take on his former team. This is a game that everybody is going to watch. This is a game that's going to be like, okay, are the Raiders for real or are the Seahawks for real? This is a game that the Raiders must win. And I think the Raiders do win this game, week 10, taking on the Seattle Seahawks. 17-12 is my final prediction of this game. I think the Raiders get back on track and they get a little mojo going toward midseason because week number 8, they're back in the AFC West, take on divisional opponent, the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos coming off of a bye week, playing at home. It's going to be a nice, challenging game. But the Raiders pull it out. 21-20, week 11, putting the Broncos to shame all season long. Now, week number 12, they're back on the road. Another team fresh off the bye week, the Cleveland Browns. Now, guys, I have said the Cleveland Browns are quietly a most slept-on team in the AFC, if not the NFL. I do think the Cleveland Browns are going to do great things this season. And I do think the Cleveland Browns beat the Raiders in week 12, 22-20 at home, giving us a much-needed week 13 bye week. The bye week are never good for the Raiders. Whether somebody's going to jail, somebody's getting arrested, or they're killing somebody's dog, maybe, just maybe, this year's a little bit different. But week 14, they come out of the bye week, playing at home, playing the LA Chargers. Now, Chargers want revenge. The Chargers want that belt to ass. Then Chargers come out and they put that belt to that ass. 28-10, couple mop-up duty points late in the fourth quarter. The Chargers go into Allegiant Stadium and they get the dub. Week 14, another divisional opponent, this time at home yet again, taking on the Denver Broncos. I think the Raiders complete the sweep of the Broncos 21-10 in week 15. Now, week 16, get a little mojo going. Playoff berth, perhaps. They play the Tennessee Titans. 28-0, shutout win. Week 16, the Titans are still trash. Week 17, on the road, take on the Arizona Cardinals. A potential trap game, but not for the Las Vegas Raiders. They go into Cardinal Stadium, 28-24. Give me that dub. Giving us a week 18 matchup versus the Kansas City Chiefs at Kansas City. Now, Raiders have already beaten the Chiefs. Raiders have beaten the Chargers once this season. They swept the Denver Broncos. Can they be 5-1 in the division? And I say, slow it down, baby. I say, slow it down, baby, because the Raiders are going to go into Arrowhead Stadium and they're going to wish that they never circled the field 5 years ago and still living down that Christmas Day win. The Chiefs put that belt to ass at home, 40-6, giving the Las Vegas Raiders a 10-7 season. I think the Raiders are a very, very good team this season. I think the Raiders are a potential playoff team this season. I think the Raiders could potentially win the AFC West. Now, the Ravens, guys, need to win now. In week number 1, the pressure is on. You are on the road taking on the Indianapolis Colts, an AFC team that could potentially make some noise. However, Jesse Mittner and the new look offense just isn't ready. The Colts outlast the Ravens 21-14 in week number 1, giving the Ravens the first loss of the season. Week number 2, the Ravens are, with their home opener, taking on the New Orleans Saints. It seems like every time we talk about the Saints, it's a loss, and oh, by the way, another loss. And week number 2 is the continuance of that loss theme. The Ravens beat the Saints 28-10, giving them the first win of the season. Now, week number 3, they're playing the Dallas Cowboys in Spursville. Remember what we said about the Bengals and the Steelers and the other teams that are traveling overseas this season? Offenses don't travel well overseas. This happens again in week number 3. The Baltimore Ravens are only going to score 9 points in this game. However, the Dallas Cowboys are only going to score 12 points. They do get the loss, but it is a competitive field goal battle. The Cowboys come up on top, giving the Ravens the second loss of the season. Week number 4, the Ravens are back at home. And at this point, they are very, very upset. They are hearing the noise. Jesse Mittner might be a bust of a coach. We miss John Harbaugh. Lamar Jackson is trash. This, and this, and this. And they come out and they execute and they put the belt to the ass versus the Tennessee Titans 44-3, giving them their second win of the season, catapulted them to a 500 record. And this is where everything starts to click for the Baltimore Ravens, because week number 5, they go on the road to take on the Atlanta Falcons. It's not even close, 38-10. Week number 6, much of the same, on the road versus the Cleveland Browns, 33-9. 3 games in a row, 3 wins in a row of scoring 40 or 30 plus points. Week number 7, much of the same when they take on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are coming off of the bye week. However, the Ravens are rolling. 3 wins in a row. Better fact, making 4 wins in a row, beating the Bengals 42-35. All of a sudden now, everything is starting to click. All of a sudden now, the Ravens are the AFC favorites. All of a sudden now, Jesse Mendner and Lamar Jackson are a perfect duo. But all the good also comes with the bad, because week number 8, when they travel to the Buffalo Bills, fresh off their bye week, their offense kind of stagnates. No touchdowns in this game. They lose to the Buffalo Bills 24-12. But not all is lost, because and you lose a game like they did to the Buffalo Bills, the breast medicine is a short work week, and they play Thursday Night Football at home versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they get right back on track, and they score 24 points, holding the Jaguars to 10, getting them next victory. And this is when the streak starts to happen yet again. A nice long week. You have, 10, 11 days before the next game. Monday Night Football, take on the LA Chargers. 30-24, an easy dub for the Ravens. In week 11, much of the same. They travel to Carolina, a potential trap game, but they pull it out 17-13. Now, we are looking at the Ravens winning 7 of their last 8. We are looking like the Ravens are the best team in the AFC. It's looking like Lamar Jackson is going to win his 3rd MVP and earn those bills, yo. But week 12, they travel down to Houston to play the best defense in the NFL, to play arguably a top 10 offense in the NFL, fresh off their mini bye week. This game is a slugfest. We're going to see big hits, and we're going to see a lot of injuries, I do believe. The Houston Texans come out on top over the Ravens 20-14, giving the Ravens a nice little cushion going into their bye week, the week 13 bye week. The best bye week in the entire NFL is 12, 13, or 14. Now, week 14, fresh off the bye week at home, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers come to town. This is when the Ravens start to show how good they can be. They beat the Buccaneers by 10 points, 27-17, giving them back into their winning ways. However, week 15, divisional matchup. Every time the Ravens play an elite defense this season, they kind of get exposed. The Pittsburgh Steelers are an elite defense. It is a divisional game on the road, and they lose the Pittsburgh Steelers 13-10. Week 16, they have beaten the Cleveland Browns before. Last time at Cleveland, they did put that belt to ass. But as of late, they've been battling elite defenses not so good. Browns have an elite defense. Top 5 in the NFL, hands down. However, the Ravens have the Browns numbered this season, and they put that belt to ass 34-6, giving them back on their winning ways. But week 17, Thursday Night Football. Defense forgets to show up. Offense balls out, scores 30-plus points versus the Cincinnati Bengals, but the Bengals score just more, giving the Bengals to win 33-30 in this Week 17 matchup. Gives us the Week 18 matchup for the division title at home, taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I do think they win the division title by beating the Pittsburgh Steelers 20-17 in Week 18, giving the Baltimore Ravens 11-6 record on the year and 4-2 in the division. That is good enough for 3rd in the AFC playoff race. But what do you guys think, Man Hour Nation? Is it too high, too low, or just right for the Baltimore Ravens? Let me know you guys' thoughts in the